Alright. Hey guys. Today we're just gonna do a little relaxing Sunday. We're gonna play some Powerwash simulator. Wanna do this mansion here. Let's see. Clean the Lost City Palace. Harper and I hid your pride in a fishing boat to search where the hand in the sand was pointing at. I know it sounds crazy, but I think we found the lost city of Atlantis. Only it's in the Pacific. No wonder it was lost. Maybe. Should it be called the city of the pacifist? Pacifist? Regardless, claims to be at least 8,000 years old. How we can clean so we know what the hell it is. Also gonna play some music too. I know next weekend, my parents gonna take me to the temple, Cambodian temple. So just play some Cambodian music. Hey! What you do to my van? You had my van hostage? Like, oi! You had my van hostage. And there's a boat I cleaned last time. What's this Clash of Clans gnome? You right here. Are you drilling too wishy? Possible brain to smell more delicious than this place. It's a bit loud. So, settings. There we go. That's too quiet. There we go. And a huge bowl of shrimp cocktails. Wow. That's the number of cats in the arena was unbelievable. I'm gonna go what the feline still is, I have no idea. Cats. Cat boys. They're summoning the cat people. Also, there's like one game to think about. It involves Minecraft. I've seen. And then they're actually adding the lore to the game. Which is a surprise, because Notch never did. He's like, here's my world of creative. I never made a lore for it, but now there's a lore. Added new mods and stuff. I really wish I had Minecraft dungeon stuff into regular Minecraft, you know? New wheel, like legit new wheel, not just old items, spare hand. Yeah, this house is big. I had to. Sometimes I've seen the random gnome-like creature. sucks too. Something involves an octopus. Great. I really hope I don't get copyright strike with this foreign music. Because I like to listen to it. I can't listen to any Beyonce because of copyright. Thanks, Beyonce. Kore. Surprisingly, I can write good like Cambodian alphabets and stuff. I can't translate I can translate English somewhat to Cambodian, but I'm like the youngest in the family, so it's like the urge to learn your native language is usually by siblings, and siblings so I had to learn by myself. And apparently I know how to write in Cambodian. It's just trying to translate my words in English to Cambodian is a bit odd. Like I can see you send things like, hi, hello, how are you? Duripsu Sespajete through. But I can't, you know, like, say like, oh, happy birthday, Pone Sea, like, good night and stuff, you know. I had the language make myself to learn, but it's like, I even can sing. It's like, I don't understand the words. Why can't English schools teach you like Asian languages? Just why? Like, I'd be great to learn Japanese in elementary and Cambodian. Stay in Anglais school. But even at work, I can't even have people even speak my language. It's like, it's embarrassing for me. It's like, you don't understand what you're saying. So you know someone does, you feel comfy. Colors. Let's try this. Oh, those are sea serpents. Oh, like nagas. Like a blend. Sad it was in my own country due to the 1970s, the Kairouge darkest era or time. 3 billion Cambodians died, estimated, including my mother's entire family and majority of her family, and my dad's 2 little uncles, his 2 little brothers that didn't make it. Don't understand how bad it was. I can just start singing, start doing a little story here. Because the song you're listening to right now, Rabam Apsara. It's the dance of the angels. It's where the angels of the heavens come to Lord Indra, God of the sky and heavens, to witness Earth's beautiful flowers blooming. As such, the queen arrives first before summoning her attendants to go gather the flowers and make crowns out of them, flower crowns, and do some beautiful dances among the metals before returning back to the heavens. It's also a blessing song. Because they say back then people used to pray throughout the entire dance for good luck and prosperity in their families. So they say Cambodian dances were linked from the heavens to the earth. And even if you look at remember TED Talks, they say dancers are also enslaved to dance. They were treated more like objects, sadly. How they dance and how their fingers bend towards the wrist. And their spines bend back, make it more elegant. And all that. I'm surprised how bent back the wrists go. Like, the hands kind of bend back towards like leaves, moving on the side and the flat. Even my hands, they bend a little bit back, so maybe I have some ancestry, the royal family maybe, like dancers or something. But no, my father's side, he has an ancestor that played once in the royal ballet as the musician there. I just like how you just out of reach and just yank this. Yank it out of nowhere. am very mixed. I'm not just Cambodian, I'm Chinese and Thai thrown in a mix. I say a second gen mix Asian. It's just my Chinese roots are so mysterious, I don't know where in China they're from. Too, like, unknown. Apparently, from hints from my family, I look like my mother's grandfather's side, who is Chinese, so that's a hint. And like they immigrated from China to Cambodia, so they had to be somewhere close near the border to like guide people in China, maybe. I just don't know. But it could be from Sichuan province. I now look like Japanese, and I'm not Japanese. Wow. One day. Check my ass. Just walk. Not a day. Good, talk to me. It's like a face. Okay, all these side things. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm nervous singing, so turn that off. That mic away. Very nervous. But no, I really mess up. It's like a diamond. It's like, it looks like one of those water temples in Minecraft. On this of it. It's just covered. Algae, dirt, streaks, and grime. For 4,000 years, the color has not turned away, surprisingly. I'm surprised. Usually ruins, there's no color left. Like indication, they're just remnants, even after all the massive amounts of rain throughout eons. Color should not exist in ancient temples. Especially right by the ocean, they wash it away. Next level. It has like South American vibes on it. The Aztecs with the Quadratus god, the dragon. I'm just thinking with my head, like, should I just start reading like scary stories and stuff? The country where I'm from, it is bloody haunted. My origin nation that my parents were born in. It's haunted as hell. I'll just say, like, from an empire of ancient times to now a country with I'd just say a prime minister who is over past his time of ruling and needs to take a rest to retirement. But he refuses to do so. Let's just say the place is bloody haunted as hell. Not just because of killing fields, but even back then. Even the famous temple, Uncle Watts, back then. Even today, the monks refuse any visitors at night, or the ghosts come out to play. And yeah, ghost hunters themselves, like the famous ghost hunter trio. Oh, really? I haven't seen really a trio anymore. It's like a big group of them now, like their own. They went to Cambodia and they did investigate Uncle Wat at night. Per permission of the monks and the government, of course. Because you can't go out to a site that's sacred at night. Very bad stuff. But they say, like, before you do a ghost investigation, you must feed food and scented candles at the altar to know, like, you're not hostile at all. You're friendly people, but just want to know, you know. Because being paranormal type of person myself, I would rather let the ghosts be like, hey, I'm not life-threatening or trying to kill you or anything. I'm just here exploring. Now then, don't need to get angry at me, throw stuff at me and stuff. I just want to know what's here, you know, here and all that. But yeah, people are going through that, and it's like a haunted house. Especially houses that are like in Cambodia that are built on the graveyard. Yeah, that's very bad. Very bad. I believe I saw a video someone in Cambodia did like a minor ghost like investigation hunt on this abandoned house that was built literally on a graveyard. The ghosts did not appreciate their presence. Let's just say that. They scared the living hell out of them, step in the broken house, like stomping. They shake some palm trees there. What else? Oh yeah, when they went to investigate the house, the ghosts manifested their decapitated head on the rafters, bleeding, like fresh killed. Like, no thanks. Like, I'd be terrified of that. Someone that's literally like, oh, it's a separated head. It's in the raptors bleeding from it. It's like dripping from the corners. Yeah, no. Dripping from the pillows, from the raptors. No thanks. Plus, like, they went back to check up there. So yeah, paranormal activity Norwegian scary than American like scary. American scary, you get like jump scares with those guys and stuff like that. Oh, Cambodia, you get manifestations of separate heads, people with mutilated bodies tell you to go away. That's how bad it is. It's only 6% really. Oh, it's mess. I saw on Twitter, I saw Kyo with his little cheapy avatar selling red horns, like the collection of red horns that he secretly stole from Red while Red was sleeping. He was like, I got red horns for sale. Come get them, bitches. That always cracks me up. Like, oh, Red, you're literally like a spawner farm with your horns. I do not know what those horns are made of. You alien. One red is enough. I don't need to have an army of red clones everywhere. Just they regenerate like starfish. You rip them off, another red spawns. That'd be Kyo's nightmare. You could deal with one ren. We can't deal with an army of 50,000 rens. That sound like Goofy sometimes. Oh jeez. Why don't they ever clean shit wasted? It's like all black. We're closer to the volcano there. Yeah, there's some games I'm thinking of getting, which is that Minecraft one, redownloading Minecraft Dungeons. Because I played that in the past when I never streamed. That was fun. That was like the assassin with the sickle scythe. I should really make that scythe, like scythe in Minecraft, not just for farming, but also for harming. You know what? I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna let you guys read a horror story. Let's see. Oof. That is a lot. I thought. Oh, they put it all. I found it one on Wattpad. Thank God the service is not good for Wattpad, so I can read some horror stories for you guys while I'm doing this cleaning. So this little story here, it's a horror Cambodian horror tale here. It's called The Crying Banana Tree. this is all like kind of written stuff. I don't know if it's like a legit horror story or it's just a made up one. I'll just go with it. But let's see. The story my grandma tells goes, she was staring at her house late one night and had to use the restroom as well. You know, you gotta get up, yeah, go. She did her business and started hearing a woman crying, singing traditional Cambodian songs mothers would sing to their babies at the... There you go. My grandma, being the curious little woman, she decides to investigate and notice it's coming from the banana tree by her house. Of course, she knew what it was by then and ran into her house. The legend of the story goes back, way back. There are many different types of versions of this story. But the story goes, there was once a beautiful young woman who was walking alone at night. I can't recall if she was pregnant or she had a baby already, but regardless, it's one of those stories. She ended up getting the R word, bad touch, and killed under the banana tree. In Cambodia, many Cambodians say, don't go out at night. And the main one is, don't pee under the banana trees. Return back to the story. My grandmother never encountered this herself, but she has met a lot of people who have. The story she tells me takes place during the Khmer Rouge. One of her neighbors had told her the lady next to her was an ahap and take her kids inside at night. An ahap is pretty much a pretty seductive lady. She looks really normal during the day, but at night she used her tongue to eat. I skipped a line. But at night she detaches her head from her body and flies around at night, using her tongue to eat the babies from the womb. She is said to look in the banana trees and a very meticulous creature. So yeah, there's that one. They call her the witch. I know what this story is. So this story is about this lady who passed away and was accused of witchcraft because she used dark magic and all that. She was blooded. She turned as a normal lady during the day, but at night she detaches her entire head. Let me get the description correctly. Her entire head, including her mouth, tongue, and then her esophagus, her stomach, and her intestines, just floating as she flies away with her head to go eat raw meat or like unsuspecting mothers who are pregnant, and as well as unkept, safe babies who are not protected in the crib. She go lurk at night to eat them. The only way to defeat one is to find her original body and hide it. Like a vampire, she will burn if she cannot find her body to become a human in the morning during the day. So you had to hide her body as well as make sure she doesn't at all get to where she hid it, or where you hid it, of course. But it's like a whole little horror story there. Let's see, next horror story. Don't play with the sacred instruments. Ooh, that kind of hits home. So this story I heard plenty of times. My grandpa's trip to Cambodia with his sister, my aunt, and my aunt's cousin. According to the story, my uncle has gotten a Hanuman tattoo. Hanuman, the monkey king of the forest. You know, in India, like that, the Hindu god that helped Rama in the Ramayana, you know, that god. He's more monkey-like than human-like in our Cambodian history, in the lore. So, anyways, and my aunt and uncle decides to go to this temple. The temple held some sacred instruments. My uncle foolishly decided he wanted to play with one. After playing the instrument, he started acting like Hanuman. Grandpa and my aunt swear he did. He started acting like Hanuman. Pretty much he got possessed by the monkey god himself. My grandma told me the monk tied him up and literally exorcised my uncle right then and there. So you get possessed by sacred instruments. Do not touch artifacts or sacred instruments of any nation, just in case you want to be possessed by malevolent or friendly spirits and be exercised like hell. Because exorcism in Buddhism is way different from Christianity. Way different. Or like Islam. Like, we tie you up, we tie you up. Not like how you like tied to the bed. No, you tied up to a chair. Kind of thing. It's that bad. Okay. Next story is called Black Magic. It's a bit of a long one. Story goes, my dad had went to Cambodia back in 2005 with my grandma and I think my other aunt. My father had witnessed everything firsthand as well as my grandma. The story is that they decided to visit the temple. Not sure what city or village it was in, but my dad and grandma had walked into an exorcism taking place. The monk had told my grandma that the girl had 2 boyfriends, Cheetah, and one of them had found out, which he went to a black magic witch and put a spell on her to have demonic possession. Yeah, Cambodian dark magic is a serious topic. It's like voodoo, but more deadlier. Like deadlier. It's like South Park, you know? There's wolves, and then there's dire wolves. They're like wolves, but dire. That's what Cambodian black magic is. It's like voodoo, but dire. Anyways, my dad said the girl was screaming in 5 different voices at the same time, lashing out, while the monk had her tied up. She was, not wearing any clothing in the range. The monk then used a banana leaf, holy water, and chilies to bless the girl. My father and grandmother watched through the whole thing. It said it was about a 3-hour exorcism until the girl became herself once more. They also found a picture of the girl buried deep in the dirt with an X on her face, and some black magic streams wrapped around it. Scary to say, that's all my grandma and dad were willing to tell me. Which means there's some things you should never know. I know, so too, personal experience-wise. My aunt, I just gonna say this, my aunt, you know, like how novels, there's any like manga and manhwas, like isekai and those in like medieval times, and like Norse dukes and stuff. My aunt's like the corrupted family member that owns the rule family kind of thing. So yeah, she's into this dark stuff and manipulated nature to the point that you literally stop talking to her or ever mentioning her face. Right now she's already having her midlife crisis where she looks like a Barbie doll kind of look. It's horrifying. It's horrifying because she was so young. She was like, she just came out of that's how she looks like her, modifications of her, beauty. But yeah, she uses dark magic like that. And luckily my parents found the hexes, and to get rid of it, we buried the hexes and threw them away too, because we don't want them near our house, because the hexes will affect us. Oh, I can't do this. It will affect us at times. Ah! This will affect our well-being. deal with doing anything with dark magic voodoo or anything evil, including the Ouija boards, beware. For this, it takes change your outcome upon the life that you see before you. Yeah, that's my music there. Scary music sounds so fitting for this temple cleaning for some reason. It's like you're uncovering the truth. Okay, next story is called The Mermaid. And yes, Cambodia has their version of the mermaids. Savan Macha, the queen of the mermaids, the daughter of Ravana, the demon king of Sri Lanka, and the Ramayana. There we go. So, the mermaid. I also questioned this story, but everyone have their own opinions. My great-grandfather used to be a veteran way before the Khmer Rouge of the 70s occurred. My grandma said that one day on the sea, my great-grandfather's crew had caught a mermaid. I questioned my grandmother on how it looked, described it the way a mermaid would look, but it was smaller than a human. The crew members hung the mermaid up in the sun and dried her out for her sweat, which was supposed to be magic or something. Gross, weird, and why? According to my grandmother, my great-grandfather felt sorry for the mermaid and wanted to let her go. He even heard her say, "Please, let me go." I questioned this story because in Cambodia, we have a mermaid-like creature in our folklore that is married to Hanuman, but in other tales, she is called Savan Macha. She was one of the beautiful women who drowned herself to become a mermaid. And that's the end of that story. Very short. They give you a lot of context, though. Lots of context. You know what? I should put that in my stream info. Think. There we go. Alright. Next one as well is another last one, a Cambodian one I found on this page. My uncle and black magic. Hopefully it's not like a repeat of the old one. Some stories the line starts to blur reality into subconscious imaginations of people interpreting what they think they can imagine. My uncle back in Just 8 was dating this girl. His parents didn't like her from the start and knew something was up. My uncle ended up getting really sick. He would still go out of his way to see this girl. His parents got worried and went to a fortune teller. They still exist in Cambodia, fortune tellers. I know, so my parents... sad story. My parents told me that they really wanted to have a son, so they actually went to a fortune teller in Cambodia. They told them to visit some temples to pray to have a son. I'm born. Was born from their wishes that they want. So yeah. The reason why I'm here alive is talking to you all is all based on a wish that my parents wish for. Anyways. Just that look, that was derpy. I think that was so derpy. Anyways, see what was going on with their son. To find out, the girl my uncle was seeing had black magic done on him. Like, has, betwixt him into being seduced. Knowing what was going on, his parents flew to Cambodia and went to look for a black magic witch to reverse the hex. They eventually did and found out the girl had hidden something within my uncle's house. See, this happened earlier when I told you guys what my aunt, who I believe may have some knowledge of hexing people. It made him go crazy and sick. The only way they can reverse the spell is to have a picture of him and another girl, which is his current wife, tie together using our holy strings and bury it under the stairs. His parents agreed, and right when they bury it, my uncle broke out his spell of being ill and ended up marrying the girl in the picture. My uncle is happy now and married successfully. So please, guys, be careful with black magic. Out there. There are forces not even science and religion cannot even say. Alright, that's the end of the Cambodian ones. Let's see. Is there anything? Oh, there's a Thai one. See that Thai ghost story? Thai ghost story. It's just one big one. About 25 or 26 years ago, I was at Pattaya. This was when Pattaya was really a quiet little town. You know what, guys? I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna stop the, yeah. Turn to just chatting, because we're getting pretty distracted here. Turn that off. That's a big whoops there. Ito. Maybe to go some scary stories. For Sunday. There we go. And then let me get this out. Alright. So we're just gonna chat here for a while. I'm gonna go for some spoops. Let's see, first check my Discord. Everything looks okay. Yeah, just the usual. Okay, back to the study. So, looks goofy with my couch. Okay, where was I? Alright, I was staying in a small hotel set into a cliff overlooking the sea. I went to bed about midnight and drew the curtains so I could sleep in. That made the room extremely dark. About 3 in the morning, the witching hour, I snapped awake, knowing I was no longer alone. Remember, the room was almost pitch black. In one corner, directly, diagonally across from me, was a figure. I look away. I look back. I blink heavily. It was still there. I could only see it by looking slightly past. Got an interruption. So, it was slightly past, but it was a female wearing a shapeless white dress that fell almost almost to her knees. To her knees, to her ankles. And black hair flowing down to her face. She looked like the Grudge. The Grudge look. Her head was bent downwards, so she was facing the carpet, and her face was hidden by the fall of her hair. Then, moving slowly, she grasped handfuls of hair and lifted them straight up and let them fall again. Then, she reached down and it did it again. The second time, she pulled her hair into the air. She started to bring her face up. I knew that if I saw her face, I was dead. I rolled over as fast as I could, snapping on the lights on the bed tables, and when they came on, she was gone. I laid there, fighting for breath, literally more frightened than I'd ever been in my life. And I stayed there, wide awake, until the sun come up. When the room was bright enough, I went into the bedroom, pulled the shower curtain, turned on the shower, and let the water hit me in the face fully. When that was done, I pulled back the stream of water, and upon opening my eyes, something moved very fast on the other side of the shower curtains. I left the water running, grabbed a towel, wrapped it around me, and ran all the way to the lobby, where I demanded to get a new room to the staff, as far as possible from the old one. Later that day, I went back with a maid to pack my things. There was no way I was going there alone. And the maid said, "Yes, that woman has been seen before in this room." And she volunteered to take me to the temple later that day, when her shift was over, to burn some incense and do a brief ceremony to release that poor woman's spirit from whatever powerful force was holding it on the side of the bed. As we did, I felt a little better, but that night, even in my new room, I slept with my lights on. And no, I never personally believe in ghosts. And that's a tie tale there. Let's see. What's this one? Oh, a Singapore one. Pulau Tekong, true fact, it's called. Pulau Tekong. Pulau is P-U-L-A-U, and Tekong is T-E-K-O-N-G. It is the second of largest Singapore outing islands. Today, it is an offshore base where Singaporean recruits undergo basic military training. The BMT Center comprises of 4 schools. Different companies are under each school. As example, Charlish Company under School 1. It is well known the fact that Pulau Tekong has a number of ghosts. Some of your readers may have read or heard about the ghosts at Charlie's Company at the old basic military Camp 1. Unfortunately, some versions that I read or heard have been distorted over the years. Here I hope to set the record straight. Instructors and trainees of Charlie's Company, infantry training depot during the March-June 1983 period can vouch for my version of the story. It is not my intervention. It's not my intention to revive hurtful memories, especially for the brave family, or to blame anyone, but purely to narrate facts as they had happened. The starting point of this true story should be the be the 16-kilometer route march about 18 years ago. Oh, I got 2 notifications. Oh, jeez. A lot of distractions lately. They don't want me to read. Moving on. Before the march, the officer commanding of the company asked the trainees whether anyone was sick or not feeling well. No one put up their hands, but there was a trainee among the company, Recruit Tham WK, for safety reasons, that's what we called him, who was down with the flu, but did not put up his hand. Then the route march started. The platoon took turns to lead the company after each break during the route marches. Sometimes the pace of the march became too hot for some trainees who could not keep pace and had to fall out. They became stragglers and had to be picked up by a few instructors walking at the rear of the company. The Land Rover with the medical orderly was also supposed to be at the rear. Somehow, Tham fell out and managed to slip out of view by taking cover in the forest. He was not to be seen alive again. During subsequent rest breaks, there were handouts. Oh my god, I'm reading this all badly. There were head counts. He was presumed to be with the medical orderly. It was only in the evening after the route march, when the rifles were due to be returned to armory, that they realized Tham was missing. They went to the medical center, but he was not there. The instructors feared the worst. Overnight, they organized a night search party for him, retracing the 16-kilometer route taken earlier in the day. They couldn't find him. The next day, the entire camp ceased training, and batches of instructors and trainees were dispatched to find Tham. It was only 5 p.m. that his own platoon commander found his corpse near a forest track junction. The PC, our platoon commander in short, noticed a half-pitched tent. He called out, but there was no response. As he neared the tent, he noticed many flies buzzing around and detected a foul stench. There laid before him his dead trainee, lying with one hand holding his rifle and the other hand outreach with a water bottle with its cover open. The PC broke down in tears and wept openly upon the body. And then it says in quotes, a subsequent post-mortem showed that Tham had apparently died of stomach rupture. When his body system was still hot from the heat of the route march, against the advice of the instructors, he had suddenly gulped down massive amounts of water suddenly to cool himself. It was like pouring ice cubes into a thin glass of hot water, which caused the glass to crack. But the post-mortem also found puncture marks on his body, which cannot be explained to this day. It was left to the company sergeant major and his Land Rover driver to drive the body back to the camp to transfer to the morgue. It was twilight at that time. Exponentially, the engine could not start. The thought of two of them spending the night with the dead body unnerved them. But eventually, they somehow had the engine started and returned safety to base. I'm reading a scary story, Naughty. It's called it's a Singaporean scary story. The late Tham was promoted to non-commissioned officer NCO and cremated at Mount Vernon with full military honors. I got bored with Powerwash. So it's like, I'll just do scary stories then. As the company trainees line the road, sneaking up to the crematorium to salute our late comrade, it was a heartbreaking sight to see a distraught mother being supported by two daughters following the hearse. A few instructors returned to the site where he departed from the world to offer incense and prayers. Because in Asian culture, the place where you die, your spirit will be stuck there until you tell them, or like with incense and prayers tell them like they had passed away, and then they will move. My cat just opened the door creepily. One instructor asked the late Tham not to come back and haunt us, but rather to express his last wishes in a dream so that his soul could not rest in peace after his wishes were fulfilled. But Tham did not listen. The first incident, one of the instructors came to listen. You can't even read the chat. One of the instructors came to the Platoon 9 bunk to remove his personal effects. Effects? I swear this person who wrote this is not English speaker. I say personal belongings. When he opened up his metal cupboard, there was a foul stench found inside that cannot be explained. The second incident. In the dead of the night, some trainees of Charlie's company heard Tham's voice shouting for the platoon or the company to fall at the common company ground. The fall? Third incident. Quotes more scary. One of the Platoon 9 section mates woke up in the middle of the night and saw the white figure of Tom's ghost standing in front of his former cupboard. He bolted to the next double-decker bed and grabbed to share his bucket and said, "Ghost!" The next morning, the platoon mates could see two trainees pale in the face by the encounter. I don't know what the heck is ashened. That's what they put. And then the fourth, yeah, very pale trainees. During one one of the South Central Routes marches by golf company, I have no idea what pale is blocked, but it's a baby, it's a baby sensor. I can control it. During the company of golf company's march, the company noticed a figure of a soldier in full battle suit, standing in the distance among some trees. This is not an English speaker. They say full battle order standing. The OC, the commando captain. Yeah, it did. The commando captain dashed forward to take a look. He quickly ordered the whole company to double pass without slowing down to see what he saw. Subset route marches were divided to avoid that area of sighting. It's been a long time since I set foot on Pulau Tekong Island in June 1983, but I heard that the bunk in which the late Tong used was converted into a lecture room, and subsequently into a storage room. The room was installed with padlock doors for obvious reasons. Pulau, yeah, P-U-L-A-U, Pulau. Over the years, generations of trainees who became instructors passed down their version of Tham's story by mouth, word of mouth, which unfortunately get distorted with each generation. May his soul rest in peace. And that's the end of that story. There's a one called Cheating Death, The Shushman, Confession. Which one you want me to read next, Naughty? Pretty much. I will read the lady next door. The lady next door. A few years back. All right. I rented an apartment from a friend of mine. He had recently bought it and had completely renovated. He put it up for sale but couldn't find a buyer, so I offered to rent it in the meantime. After moving in, I realized that there was something wrong with the lady next door. She was about 45 years old, but much older. She would sit up all night, listen to Christian radio shows, and talk loudly to someone. It get to the point where I could not sleep, so I went over to her place and asked her to keep it down. She opened her door, and I got a quick peek. Her hallways all... Her... Why did you put this word? I'll try to come up with a better word for this. Her entryway to her house, all across the walls, are painted on them in different colored words. All words like Jesus and angels subscribed everywhere. The windows were painted black, letting no light in at all. It was damp, yellow stain, video carpets, dark poo everywhere, with cockroaches, with no dog though. I asked her to keep the place down, keep the noise down. She just looks at me and then shut the door. Then she turned up the radio even louder. The next night, I had my girlfriend staying over. I woke up in the middle of the night and see a shadow of a person next to the bed, looking at us sleeping. I think I'm hallucinating, as I usually do in the dark when I'm sleepy. But then, the shadow started talking. It was my neighbor, and she was holding something in her hand. She broke in during the night, and God knows how long we knew she stood there, right by her bed. She said, "You should lock your doors at night," and she walked out. The next morning, I hear someone making strange noises below my bedroom window. It was the neighbor talking to herself in tongue. She had a plastic bag in her hand with her rotting, dead dog inside. It's hot as hell outside, and I can smell the dead dog from the bag. At this point, I was scared shitless. She was obviously insane. I went upstairs and knocked on another person's door and asked what the hell is going on. The guy was also terrified as me. Apparently, she broke into his apartment one evening as well, while he was watching TV with his kids. He had gotten up from the couch just to get the snack in the kitchen, only to find her behind the couch, staring at him with a power drill. At this stage, I'm basically crapping myself, thinking I should call the cops. They all know about her. Apparently, she's a violent psycho. She hasn't taken her meds. Apparently, she was a schizophrenia person. But they couldn't force her to enter her apartment without her permission, because she owns it. The only thing they can do is get her when she gets outside. I sit up for the next 2 days waiting for her to run out of cigarettes. When I hear her leave at 2 in the morning to go across the road to a 7-Eleven, I called the cops. They had 3 cars sent and a special van over within less than 2 minutes. They restrain her and throw her into the van and drove off with some institution in less than a minute. It's like she was never there. I never saw her again, but I still have nightmares about her looking over at me while I sleep. And that's the end of that story. Let's see. The Shushman. Give me a sec. I need to do something with this. Alright, I gotta refill my drink too. Get my Sprite up. Ah, that's good Sprite. Okay. Next story. The Shushman. I am not gonna do a girl's voice. This is a girl reader. I can try, but it's gonna be horrible. My name is Sabrina. When I was a little girl, my parents took me to visit my grandmother. She lived in a little village in the countryside. Her cottage was very small, and there was only one bedroom. My grandmother slept in one bed, while my parents slept in the other. Wait a minute. They only have one bedroom. What? Does she have like 2 beds or something? That's like a big loophole there. And I had to sleep on some cushions upon the floor. They need to fix that. That makes no sense. If they had a 1-bedroom house, where did the parents sleep if the grandmother slept in one bed? You mean one master bedroom, one guest bedroom, I'm guessing? Because I've been to a 1-bedroom hotel before. I slept in the couch in the living room. There's literally just 1 bedroom and 1 living room, 1 little kitchen. And that's it. For a hotel. Okay, moving on. We stayed there for a few weeks, and I was troubled by some terrible nightmares. Every night, I would wake up screaming. My parents tried to calm me down, asked me what was wrong. I could tell them there was a man coming to get me. I can still remember the cause of my terror. Every night, I saw a shadowy figure emerge from behind the curtains in a corner of the room. He was pitch black. All I could tell him was his outline. He was tall and hairy. I would watch in horror as he came crawling towards me with a sickening slowness. He came up to me, whispering something in my ear, and just when I was about to scream, he would place a finger upon his lips and whispered, "Shush, shush, shush." He tortured me every night to the point where I dreaded to go to sleep. As time went on, he began to appear not only at night, but also during the day. One evening, we were all watching television in the living room, and at some point, I happened to glance to my left. The curtains slowly drew back as I saw the man standing there, staring up at me. He raised his hand upon his lips and whispered, "Shush, shush, shush." Immediately, I let out a horrified scream and told my mother what I had seen. She gotten up to where the curtains were, pulling them back and forth, showed me there was nothing there, but of course then he had already disappeared. When the holiday was over, we went back to our apartment in the city and the nightmares stopped. After that, my grandmother would always come to visit us instead. She would never go back to her cottage on vacation again. As time went on, I stopped thinking about the man and eventually forgot him altogether. Later, one summer, when I was 13 and my little brother was 5 years old, we went to stay with my grandmother's again. My parents were in the kitchen while I have a cup of tea with my grand. I had to throw British in there because it sounds so perfect for that sentence. They asked me to get my little brother ready for bed, while I was preparing a mattress on the floor for both of us to sleep on. My little brother was sitting on one of the beds. I noticed that he was being unusually quiet. When I looked up, I saw he was staring at something. "What's wrong?" I asked him. Then suddenly, he jerked his head around and looked at me. His eyes widened with fear. "Sabrina," he said, pointing at the curtains. "The shush man is standing there." Needless to say, my brother and I spent the night sleeping in the kitchen, and we will never visit my grandmother's cottage again. That's the end of that story. Let's see. Let's see if there's any other stories. I can't read these. I can write, but I can't read it. Oh, there's poems and stuff. Let's see, horror stories. Not creepypasta story, fanfics, no. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, that's a lot of chapters, no. That's a reading. Need one. Wow. My neighbor is a yandere. Ignorance. Yandere boy. Times the Rita. Lady Rita. Womb? What? Oh, the music. Is that better? Let's see. Don't lick envelopes. Let's read that one. Alright, that one's better. For scary sounds. Alright. Don't lick envelopes. A lady named Tracy works at a paper company. One day, while she was working, she wanted to get in touch with her grandfather, who was dying. Dying by email? What? Dying by email? I never heard that you could get killed by email letters. Yeah, I was thinking that she wanted to email him because he's dying, but how they worded it sounds Sounds a bit weird. Anyways, but she learned that he communicated the old-fashioned ways by letters, and she decided she would just do it that way. This ambient sound should sound so much better with demonologists, you know? I like the sound. It would be more creepier. She sneaked an envelope from her job and started to type a letter up saying how she feels sorry that she couldn't visit him when he was old and being old and frail and dying. Jesus. She printed her letter and put it into the envelope. The company had warned the workers about how people were reporting weird bumps on the sticky seal on envelopes. Yeah, she is. But Tracy paid no attention. She thought it would just take longer to use a sponge, and she licked the envelope. Ugh. It's disgusting taste. But as soon as she did, she got a paper cut upon her tongue. The cut was wide, very wide and deep, but she decided it would heal in time. Soon, she noticed that the cut had gotten infected and it was swelling up. At first, Tracy thought it was nothing, but every day the cut would swell even more. She went to the doctors to see what was wrong, but the doctors couldn't find anything. They didn't even take a biopsy of her? Wow. She was sent home with no answers. Decided it was just because the wound was so deep, it just barely infected. Over a few more days, it got so much worse that she couldn't even eat. There was a large lump on her tongue. The pain was unbearable. She rushed to the doctor once more. This time he took an x-ray. He was surprised when he saw a giant lump that Tracy had been talking about. He made her an appointment to have minor surgery, and when the day came, he and 4 other doctors started to cut around her tongue. They took off the layer and was horrified. 2 cockroaches crawled out of the cut. The doctor picked them out. Then they opened the cut and almost failed to see hundreds of cockroach eggs sitting in this paper cut. For 3 hours, they picked each and every one of the eggs, and finally were done. When Tracy woke up, she almost fainted when she heard that the large lump on her tongue were actually cockroaches. The doctor explained that on the envelope, the bumps were actually cockroach eggs. When she got the paper cut, the eggs fell into it, and they were able to grow because of the saliva, because her tongue was moist and a perfect environment for them to grow in. Ew! What do they eat? Do they eat your blood in there? And your saliva for drinking? They have 2 grown-ass cockroaches and a bunch of eggs in there, like they literally did it in there too, with limited space. So that's why they say do not lick the envelopes. I'm surprised you know this one so easily. And then this one's called Always Trust Your Intuition. How would this one? Always trust your intuition. When I was about 21, my first car was dying. So then, boyfriend and I went car shopping. I was looking for something cheap, reliable, nothing excited, because I really don't care about cars that much. Wow, this one sounds like Valley Girl vibes. We went to the small used car dealership in the biggest town next to us. And I explained what I'm looking for. And the guy had a few options. The first is a 2 backdoor black Honda. My boyfriend was enthusiastic about it and wanted to test drive it. I was like the opposite. I felt creeped out for some reason. Of course, I let him win because I was a dumb 21-year-old. What, you want to do a collab, Naughty, of Scary Story Sunday? Like, whenever you're free, I can just pop in and we can do like a little scary story thing. Because I'm reading it off a site, all these stories. They could be true, they could be fake. Just like reading them. Let's see. Anyways, here it is. I get in the driver's seat, boyfriend in the back, car guy in the front. Oh yeah, I did. I seen the show Fact or Fiction. That was like my jam in high school. Watch like creepy and like paranormal stuff. Anyways, I didn't even want to turn it on, but I did. We pulled out into the street, and as I was driving, I put out there was no stereo. Just make it a cheaper deal with the car guy said. My boyfriend thought that was great because he knows about them. Ugh. I should be normal, not Valley Girl. Ugh. Yeah, we were getting good system in there. Yeah, Valley Girl LSP from Adventure Time, leave it to you. I stopped at a red light and noticed the driver's side window isn't tinted like the others. Car guy acted like, well, I don't know why that would be. I suddenly got an awful pain in my head and felt like I was going to throw up. I had to get out of the car immediately. I made an illegal U-turn. My Sprite's fighting back. At the light and sped back to the dealership. I hadn't even turned off the car before I was trying to get out. I felt better immediately after exiting the car, and the two men started talking about a deal. My boyfriend loved the car and the price. I violently said, no! I am not buying that fucking car! I asked the car guy again why it's so cheap. What happened in that car? Was it in an accident or something? I think he could tell how freaked out I was. So he seriously said, yes. The 17-year-old owner had been carjacked, shot in the head through the driver window. They pulled his body out, stole the radio and the speakers. I so did not buy that car. Trust your gut intuition if a car that's a used car like that. If it looks very sus, don't take it. Naughty. The car was a resale of a car of a killed person. So the person of this old car, the driver, was carjacked, shot in the face through the driver window, and then they robbed him by stealing the radio. There was a robber. You know, he was carjacked, shot in the face, stole a radio, broke in the driver window, and and then the person, the reader, had a bad vibe. It's probably like the ghost of the dead person in there. A 70-year-old person that got killed. There's one called the Creepy Ear, and it's like a Native American little tale here, a little ghost story. Let's see, it's called the Creepy Ear. I grew up on an Indian reservation in the Dakotas. My father became rather traditional as he got older, and being aware of the spirits that are constantly around us is a huge part of the Sioux spirituality. I gotta struggle so much with these like Native American names and tribes. The Cheyennes believe that once something terrible has happened in this place, it never stops happening. The reservation was a home to some of the worst atrocities on records. And so the ideas of people hanging around after their deaths were not foreign to us. I was raised to believe that it was perfectly normal, if not desired, to be able to see things that non-natives couldn't. I've seen something terribly scary in my life, but I only share a couple of them. I grew up in a town that has been home to the most traditional of the traditional. A great war leader was said to have been buried along the banks of the creek that ran through the town, and the traditional natives flocked there to practice the religion relatively safely after a horrible massacre happened in the 1890s. Drug and alcohol abuse has slowly taken over. However, the one spiritual refuge of the reservation had become a hotspot for bad touch, bad kill, um, self kill, and other untimely endings. When I was in the 6th grade, alright, I'll pop it in the chat. Alright, let me do something here. Chatting here, there.
Okay, but you gotta finish your story.
I know. I'm 2/3 way there. When I was in 6th grade, my father worked at the community school. Since it was a small town, the school taught grades K through 8. He came home troubled one day because the kindergarten class claimed to have seen a girl who appeared to be dead. Her throat was cut and her eyes were blackened, staring at them from the hallway.
Gross.
Yeah, they had simultaneously started screaming and gesturing towards the doors. Their non-native teacher was convinced that the kids were all in on some kind of prank, but my dad thought that the appearance of the girl was a sign of things to come. And it was. It was it, it was the beginning of what my family refers to in hushed tone as the creepy year. For no apparent
What?
I know. That's what they say. For no apparent reason, kids start self-injury death down by the creek that ran through the town. One after the other, kids would go down to the same spots and end their own lives. A reservation-wide emergency was called, and we had to sit in countless assemblies regarding the prevention of that incident. You know, I had to make sure I can't say some words because it's Twitch.
Yeah.
Still, the incidents continued, and by the end of the month, 4 or 5 kids have been claimed victims to the incidents. After the first wave, a large black car with tinted windows began popping up around town. People mentioned it casually
AKA a hearse.
as it was strange to see a new car in a place where everyone knew each other rides. The car began doing weird things. One of my cousins driving home from a friend's house late one night when the car appeared right behind her. It had the lights bright, fully on, and was tailgating her very closely. She found herself going 90 miles per hour just from preventing being hit. Then when she drove past the school, the car disappeared in thin air, just gone. The car began appearing more and more. It attempted to run several more people off the road, and everyone was really, really scared. Whatever was in the car became stronger. It would pull up to the houses where the kids had ended themselves, had lived, and just sit in the darkness with the engine running. People who drove by it would see the outlines of 5 people sitting in the car, 2 in the front, 3 in the back. My dad worked with other spiritual leaders across the reservation to find a way to make the car go away, and to give whoever was driving it peace. As my family was pretty open about supernatural phenomena.
So wait, are they saying that the dead kids are in the car?
I think they're hinting on it. Because this is like this is a Native American story, like
Oh
horror
my
story
god.
from North and South
Right?
Dakota.
Because absolutely Native Americans are going to be driving around dead in a car. Like, what?
Yeah. Oop. I copied the wrong thing there. Change that. Put that down. Paste.
So is the car still driving?
Hold on, let me get there. I was trying to get you pop on my little screen.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. So, where was I? All right. As we've open about supernatural phenomena, as we've seen from all the stuff that couldn't be explained, my dad let us know what was going on. As the number of ghosts appearing in the community school increased, and as the sighting of the black car rose, my dad grew very upset and worried. We felt like we were under siege, and kids kept ending themselves down by the creek. One night, when my dad was out there somewhere, we heard a car approach the house. I had been reading in my bedroom, but I heard my mother tell my sisters to run in the back. My two younger
Vroom,
sisters,
vroom.
my 2 younger sisters hurried into the room looking terrified, and we heard my baby brother babbling stop completely. My mother would later tell me that she had moved to the big window that looked out to the front yard and peered out. It was the black car in our driveway, idling. My mom said her heart stopped when she recognized the hairstyle of one of the girls who ended herself. She could barely make her out through the tinted glass, but she knew who she was. My mom rang the phone to call my dad, and soon as she got him on the line, the car reversed with a screech and left our driveway. The car continued being seen as well as other truly terrifying things until the endings halted and a town-wide ceremony was performed. Here's the ending line. That remained one of the most frightening periods of my life. That's it. Alright. Your turn, Naughty, if you want to read.
All right. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but there are 3 scary stories to tell in the dark books.
Alright.
So what I'm going to have you do is pick 1 through 3.
2.
And then I'm going to have you pick a page number. And it can be anything from 1 to 79.
Ooh. 17.
Oh, look, there's one on exactly page 17. All right, let's do it. Do I have to say the title of it?
Yeah.
The Little Black Dog. So I'm gonna be all like actually spooky with this. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Billy Mansfield said that a little black dog followed him wherever he went. But he was the only one who saw it. So people thought he was kind of crazy. To drive the dog away, Billy was always hollering at it, throwing rocks at it. but the dog always came back. The first time Billy saw that dog was the day he fought Silas Burton. Billy was just a young man then, but the Burtons and Billy's family had been feuding for years. When Billy saw Silas riding toward him, he went for his gun and Burton went for his. But Billy fired first. He hit Burton in the back, knocking him from his horse. Burton's horse ran off, and his gun fell where he couldn't reach it. He lay there on the ground, pleading with Billy not to kill him, but Billy killed him anyway. Burton's little black dog was with him when he was shot. The dog kept licking Burton's face and barking and snarling at Billy. In his anger, Billy killed the dog too. There wasn't much law enforcement in those days, so Billy wasn't arrested. But all that night he heard Burton's dog outside his cabin, scratching on his door and barking to be let in. I'm imagining this, Billy said to himself. I shot that dog. It's dead. But the next morning, Billy saw the dog. It was waiting for him outside. From then on, there was not a day when he didn't see it, and there wasn't a night when he didn't hear it scratching on his door, barking to be let in. From then on, Billy was always finding black dog hairs on the sofa, on the floor, in his bed, even in his food. And the house and the yard stank of dog. That's what Billy said. Whenever somebody told him there wasn't any dog to see, he'd say, maybe you don't see it, but I do. And I'm not any crazier than you are. Things went on like that for many years. Then, one morning, in the middle of the winter, the neighbors didn't see any smoke coming out of Billy's chimney. When they went over to check, Billy wasn't there. A day or so later, they found his body lying in the snow in a field back of his cabin. Billy had plenty of enemies, and at first it seemed like somebody might have killed him, but there wasn't a mark on his body, and there weren't any footprints out there except for Billy. The doctor said Billy probably died of old age, but there was something odd about his death. When the neighbors found Billy, there were black dog hairs on his clothes. There were even a few on his face. It smelled like a dog had been out there, yet no one had seen a dog anywhere.
It's hellhound.
Did you get all tingly?
It's like a hellhound.
Yeah, for real though.
And I just found a long one, and it's from like my there's some words that are from my native tongue, so I could try to explain what they mean. But it's a ghost story based on a real like experience from a let's just say it was a high school, but it was turned into a prison during the communist regime, where people died.
Oh,
Yeah,
creepy.
and it's still haunted today. Like, yeah, the caretakers of the place now, they're like, yeah, this place is haunted. It's not a museum though. It's haunted as hell.
No,
So
I love it when places are like, yes, this place is definitely haunted.
yeah, I'm gonna try to pronounce it. It's called Como Nacre, a ghost story. This is. I'm not reading there's like a prologue of the box in chapter 1. That's it. So it says, Liz was 14 when she found me, and 18 when she left me. Pain woke me up. I didn't realize what it was at first. It confused me and I didn't react. And then I realized I was confused and thought how strange this feeling was. The world didn't exist when I didn't want it to. I could make my surroundings disappear if I closed my eyes and covered my ears. My hands were the only things existing to me. I used my thumbs to seal my ears and placed my fingers across my eyes. With sight and sound gone, I was adrift. I couldn't feel the winds against my skin, the dirt beneath me, the pain from aching muscles holding the same position for so long. I stayed on the ground, but I could have floated away at any moment and never known. I don't know how long I sat beside my own grave. Hunger, thirst, exhaustion. All the ails of the living passed me by, and with them my sense of time. I floated in a haze of dark, colorless nothingness. Could have been years or days, or minutes or months. In the beginning, I would have moved a little, rubbing my fingers against my eyelids, the only sensation. But eventually, I didn't want the sensation to ground me to reality anymore. I don't know what was my reasoning was, but I wasn't bored. I was simply nothing. Then a snap of branches cracked through my head, and the silence I had grown accustomed to was brutally ripped away from me. My hands did not protect me. My thumbs didn't block the sound. It came from inside my skull. I screamed, but of course, I wouldn't do anything. The abuse of branches to me sounded like broken bones. My eyes snapped open, shock rippling away my hands, further pulling me out of my damn mockery of meditation. I didn't recognize another human being for a moment, and this further terrified me. I knew I should know what this thing was. A face, sunken brown eyes, downcast in their work, straw-like hair, tangled in clumped sweat and bits of dry mud. The small girl shouted a bit and yanked her hand away at whatever she was touching. She didn't see me, despite almost knocking her forehead against my nose, passing through it instead. I looked down to see she was wrist deep in a pile of brambles a moment ago, long thorns sticking out of my crossed legs. I had no blood or scars, and a slight shift of the devilish plant moved through my flesh like thin smoke. I was surprised and mildly amused. The plant had gone through me, life marching on with no concern for a dead woman's death and blind for goodness knows how long. I didn't even block the path of sunlight coming through the trees. I startled, and the girl muttered something to herself and reached through me, tugging at the plant. Her young brows was furrowed in concentration. I couldn't tell how old she was. She was incredibly skinny, dark russet and olive undertone skin pulled tight on her bones. I thought it was 10 or so, and only later, much later, that she was 14. I would have stared at red dripping from her fingers, but the pain that wasn't quite pain tore through me again, and I groaned. She paused and glanced around in fear like a frightened animal, her large eyes widened with terror that seemed strange on so young a face. Did she hear me? What a silly thought. Perhaps she did. I didn't care. The fog of confusion had lifted, and now I knew what she was doing. May, what are you doing, child? I said, more for my own benefit than hers. My voice didn't crack from disuse. Why wouldn't it? But it was still unfamiliar, and I was surprised at the anger in my tone. I reached to pull her away from the bush, but failed and settled for scrambling to my feet, pointlessly yelling at the disrespectful child. I was in a poor mood, clearly. My eyes stole my voice as they caught sight of my grave. I was silenced, and I stared at it. The jungle had chased after the scent of my death. The fields I was buried in was nowhere to be seen. I was staring out across a grassy hillside mere hours ago. I knew it wasn't true what I felt. Witnessing time, whether or not being part, it's a jarring experience. But once a neat pile of stone in a simple, practical thorn bush was now a bramble of thick, white, wickedly sharp needles nearly to my waist. Most of the stones were long gone, dragged away by the shifting earth of an unaware stranger who would likely walk through me many times, with neither of us the wiser. My brother's last act of love was stolen away while I was hid in my own head. Or perhaps it was a mockery on his part, marking my grave so descendants could use me as a sample for their children. I'll never know. I wasn't cremated after all, so I had to take it as the final punishment of losing my face to my family. My heart sank to my feet, and I watched the girl pulled at the dry-out bush, disturbing what was left of my grave, of me. She struggled, thorns drawing blood, her feet dragging into the dirt. She continued to pull. She seemed utterly weak. "Stop!" I said. "Stop! Go away! Bother your mother, girl!" Something gave way with a crack and sickens me, and I fell to the forest floor with a pain sound like a breath but not. The girl stopped pulling backwards, the dirt loosened at the roots. Did she hear me? This time, I was sure some part of her heard me, but I was too preoccupied by my new odd sense of unease to care. She was frozen for a few breaths, and crawled on her knees to look closer. She saw measly 2 stones left from my marker. I could see the blood leave her face. Ah, she remembered, I suppose. When the ground was too hard to bury someone who wasn't to be cremated, a thorn bush was planted to keep wild dogs from looking for food. I suspected the bush was nothing more than an additional marker now. I was likely already dust and bones, if pastime was indication. She pulled away from the bush, tearing her sleeve, scrambling to her feet. She ran away, tripping on rocks and her own steps. I stared after her, and she disappeared. I followed her eventually. I wanted to kick leaves and branches away from my bare feet. I wanted the pain. I wanted to feel something. It wasn't long before I followed her path out of the shade of trees into the hot sun. The wrongness hit me like the scent of carrion carried on the winds before I saw another single living being, thin as straw, malnourished, wearing tattered black rags stuck onto their sweaty skin. The sweats took the smell took me in by surprise. I couldn't smell much anymore. The scent stalled out but not completely gone. I smell filth and sweat and gunpowder. Seems like the dirt was soaked with the smell of rotten meat. The land has changed. Like I said, the forest chased out the scent of death, and some of these people look so close, they may well be corpses already. Where was I? I didn't recognize anything. I saw what I assumed used to be my village. Tall, sturdy wooden houses lifted into the sky by stilts to protect the dwellers from the flood rains. Those weren't too different. I tried to focus on one thing, find the child who disturbed me. Maybe I want to know what she thought she was doing, pulling at thorn bushes. But she didn't have anything to show for her troubles, but an irritant woman she couldn't see. I caught sight of the girl and weaved through the houses staring. Who were these people? Why did they wear all black? Why did men with guns walk around and the others try to shrink away and avoid looking at them? A sound caught my attention, followed by thud and screaming. 2 kinds. Angry, cursing, and begging. I wasn't scared, just very confused. Everyone else kept their heads down and went along to do whatever they were doing. I followed the sound. A man was screaming at another man, holding something to his head. I knew what a gun was. The foreigners who stayed in our village when I was alive had them. These looked different, but I wasn't a fool. You stole rice, didn't you, Min Chien? The man with the gun said, hitting the other man with the butt and spitting at him. You stole from Uncle and your fellow men. No, Min Hen, the man on the ground said, blood running down his face. Uncle has been great and generous. I didn't steal. I wouldn't take from Uncle who had been kind and generous to my family. His words were forced, awkward, either because of desperation or because he felt sick saying such words. In hindsight, both. Okay, we're almost done. I was like, this better not be too long.
The story's taking way too long.
Yeah. I stared with wide eyes, quick and useless breaths. What was this? Why was the boy beating his elder and no one stopped him? Why were they calling each other brother? The boy should be calling the elder uncle and helping him up, not spilling his blood. It was bizarre and sickened me. The boy shouted obscenities and beat the man in the face again. I wish I could have stayed and watched, but only if I wasn't a coward, but I ran. What is this? I heard a woman say when I ran for a minute, leaving the sounds behind me. You didn't bring back woods, miss? The woman said angrily. Yes, she was definitely a mother. I knew that tone of voice. I saw a familiar face slip through a mosquito net until I was underneath the house with the girl. I stood near one of the slits and watched. I couldn't find any, Mom. They call Mom in Cambodian Mai. I couldn't find anything, Mai. I'm sorry. It isn't a problem, Ne Soy, the man said. We have enough. The woman, Mrs. Mother, was quiet but nodded. Thank you, my gold. It means my child. At least these people said brother and sister appropriately, I said. Down, wanting my question answered, but unable to ask them. So pretty much, the person I'm reading on is a ghost. So that's
I'm literally confused.
yeah, it's more context saying that this ghost was awakened from her grave that she was buried from. It was during the Khmer Rouge, where like people had to find materials in the forest to like make fire to warm and make sure they don't eat like too much rice, because there was the communist regime during that time. And then the uncle that's being beat up by a child, child soldiers. The communist regime wanted the brainwash the young generation to not have family, but to be by themselves, be like the perfect soldier, kind of thing.
Gross.
Yeah, but it's literally based on a real story that someone saw, but they do it instead of them, they do it on the basis of someone that already passed away. Yeah, it's more in context.
So like a Grave of the Fireflies type situation.
Yep. Like, what is going on? Like, what is this? I know I'm dead, but what the hell is going on here? What happened to this world that I used to live? Something like that.
Good grief.
Yep.
Alright. 1, 2, or 3?
3.
And your page choices. One through 89.
32.
Okay, so there isn't one directly on that, so I'll have to do 30.
Okay.
By the way, are you trying to do a British accent?
I suddenly go British sometimes when I read words. I don't know why.
It's literally cracking me up because I was like, is he doing this on purpose?
Uh, I don't know why. I haven't watched any British shows, but like I watched a lot of British shows as a kid, so I think it's been stuck with me. So I go full on
Mm-hmm.
British when I start reading some words.
So, like, my inner dialogue is British. All right. The story is called Harold.
Oh.
When it got hot in the valley, Thomas and Alfred drove their cows up to a cool green pasture in the mountains to graze. Usually, they stayed there with the cows for 2 months. Then they brought them down to the valley again. The work was easy enough, but oh, it was boring. All day, the two men tended their cows. At night, they went back to the tiny hut where they lived. They ate supper and worked in the garden and went to sleep. It was always like the same. Then Thomas had an idea that changed everything. Let's make a doll the size of a man, he said. It would be fun to make, and we could put it in the garden to scare away the birds. It should look like Harold, Alfred said. Harold was a farmer they both hated. They made the doll out of old socks stuffed with straw. They gave it a pointy nose like Harold's and tiny eyes like his. Then they added dark hair and a twisted frown. Of course, they also gave it Harold's name. Each morning, on their way to the pasture, they tied Harold to a pole in the garden to scare away the birds. Each night, they brought him inside so that he wouldn't get ruined if it rained. When they were feeling playful, they would talk to him. One of them might say, "How are the vegetables growing today, Harold?" Then the other, making believe he was Harold, would answer in a crazy voice, "Very slowly." They both would laugh, but not Harold. Whenever something went wrong, they took it out on Harold. They would curse at him, even kick him or punch him. Sometimes they would take the food they were eating, which they were both sick of, and smear it on the doll's face. "How do you like that stew, Harold?" he would ask. "Well, you better eat it or else." Then the two men would howl with laughter. One night, after Thomas had wiped Harold's face with food, Harold grunted. "Did you hear that?" Alfred asked. "It was Harold," Thomas said. "I was watching him when it happened. I can't believe it." "How can he grunt?" Alfred asked. "He's just a sack of straw. It's not possible." "Let's throw him in the fire," said Thomas, "and that will be that." "Let's not do anything stupid," said Alfred. "We don't know what's going on. When we move the cows down, we'll leave him behind. For now, let's just keep an eye on him." So they left Harold sitting in a corner of the hut. They didn't talk to him or take him outside anymore. Now and then, the dog grunted, but that was all. After a few days, they decided there was nothing to be afraid of. Maybe a mouse or some insects had gotten inside Harold and were making those sounds. So Thomas and Alfred went back to their old ways. Each morning they put Harold out in the garden, and each night they brought him back into the hut. When they felt playful, they joked with him. When they felt mean, they treated him as badly as ever. Then, one night, Alfred noticed something that frightened him. Harold is growing, he said. I was thinking the same thing, Thomas said. Maybe it's just our imagination, Alfred replied. We have been up here on this mountain too long. The next morning, while they were eating, Harold stood up and walked out of the hut. He climbed up on the roof and trotted back and forth like a horse on its hind legs. All day and all night long he trotted like that. In the morning, Harold climbed down, stood in a far corner of the pasture. The men had no idea what he would do next. They were afraid. They decided to take the cows down into the valley that same day. When they left, Harold was nowhere in sight. They felt as if they had escaped a great danger and began joking and singing. But when they had gone only a mile or two, they realized they had forgotten to bring the milking stools. Neither one wanted to go back for them, but the stools would cost a lot to replace. There really is nothing to be afraid of, they told one another. After all, what could a doll do? They drew straws to see which one would go back. It was Thomas. I'll catch up with you, he said, and Alfred walked on toward the valley. When Alfred came to a rise in the path, he looked back for Thomas. He did not see him anywhere, but he did see Harold. The doll was on the roof of the hut again. As Alfred watched, Harold kneeled and stretched out a bloody skin to dry in the sun.
Was it the real Harold skin?
No, it was obviously Thomas.
Oh.
Because he was becoming gonna become a real man, so he needed some real man skin.
Like some poor version of Pinocchio.
Yeah, literally, right?
They actually did that in that old show, was it? From Adventures of Billy and Mandy, with Pinocchio trying to eat Billy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Alright, I found some more shorter stories. They're kind of dark though, short but dark, kind of. So this one's they don't have any titles, so they're just like literally very short stories from this one site.
Okay.
So this story here says, we bought this rundown house. My boyfriend and I, while he started working on converting the kitchen into the main bedroom, I insisted on removing the old wallpaper. The previous owner prepared every wall and ceiling in the house. It's a lot of work to remove, but it felt so good to get rid of it. The best feeling is getting the long peel, like when your skin peels after a bad sunburn. I turned it into a game on the hunt to rip the longest piece possible. I noticed that there was a person's name and date under the corner section of paper in every room. I couldn't help but investigate and Google those names. What I discovered left me speechless. The names all belong to missing people, and dates matches the days of their disappearances. We notified the police, who sent the crime scene team. I overheard one of them say, "Yeah, it's human." Wait, what's human? Ma'am? Where is all the material removed? This isn't wallpaper. And that's it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's short and
that's
gruesome.
gross.
That's gross indeed. I think, gross.
Could you imagine fucking buying a house and then finding out the wallpaper was human skin?
Yeah, that it looks like a small
Dude.
paper, but it's not.
Although, honestly, I feel like somebody should have noticed that way sooner.
That and probably the previous owner was the killer, you know. But
Yeah.
they did say the previous owner papered every wall and ceiling in the house. The previous owner, and
Ew.
they just like moved in and started doing DIY.
Gross.
Yes, it's gross and dark, but short.
All right. Which book?
Let's stay with 3 and then page 10.
This story is called Faster and Faster. Sam and his cousin Bob went walking in the woods. The only sounds were leaves rustling, and now and again, a bird chirping. It's so quiet here, Bob whispered, but that soon changed. After a few minutes, the two boys started whooping and hollering and chasing one another around. Sam ducked behind a tree. When Bob came by, Sam jumped out at him. Then Bob raced ahead and hid behind a bush. When he looked down, there at his feet was an old drum. Sam, see what I found? He called. It looks like a tom-tom. I bet it's 100 years old. Look at the red stains on it, said Sam. I bet it's somebody's blood. Let's get out of here. But Bob could not resist trying the drum. He sat on the ground and held it between his legs. He beat on it with one hand, then the other, slowly at first, then faster and faster, almost as if he could not stop. Suddenly, there were shouts in the woods and the sound of hoofbeats. A cloud of dust rose from behind a line of trees. Then men on horseback galloped toward them. Bob, let's go, Sam shouted. He began to run. Hurry! Bob dropped the drum and ran after him. Sam heard the twang of a bow firing from an arrow. Then he heard Bob scream. When Sam turned, he saw Bob pitch forward, dead. But there was no arrow in his body, and there was no wound. And when the police searched, there were no men on horseback, and there were no hoofprints, and there was no drum. The only sounds were leaves rustling, now and again, a bird chirping.
Oh. Don't play with random objects you find in the woods.
Yeah, literally, don't play random drums you find in the woods.
That's like a ghost summoning drum. Alright. There's another same thing with all these short stories I find. This one's very creepy. I just glanced at it. I was like, oh, oh god. So yeah. This one is, I stood there, watching as my future father-in-law held his precious daughter's hand as he walked down the aisle. Tears in his eyes as the wedding march played in the background, reminding him that in a matter of minutes he would be witnessing me holding his daughter's hand and slip a ring on her finger. He reached the altar, and I finally held her hand, grinning from ear to ear. I'd never been this happy before. My bride's father then got down on his knees and started begging. I did what you asked. Just please, please give my daughter back to me. I glared at him. He was ruining this beautiful moment. Shut up. If you sit down and enjoy the wedding, maybe I'll tell you where I hid the rest of her body.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's how disturbing that one was.
That was messed up.
Yeah. And the comments just wow.
Dude, that was like, but that was well written,
Yeah, and
you
one says,
know, for
oh,
like a short story, like that's
yeah.
boom, impact.
And one says, oh dear God, that's dark. And one's like, dude, I don't care that I killed your daughter. You ruined a moment. Go away.
Oh my god.
Alright. I want you to pick
Okay.
one this time. One of your best ones.
Um, let's see. See, and the funny thing is some of these stories are actually like not as scary. Some of them are actually funny.
Mm.
So, like in the first book, they had sections. So there was like, first section was ah. The second section was he heard footsteps coming up the cellar stairs. The third section is they eat your eyes, they eat your nose. The fourth was other dangers. And the fifth one was ah. So I want you to pick a section 1 through 5.
um, 3.
Okay. I know which one to do. Sam Lewis spent the evening playing chess at his friend's house. It was about midnight when they finished their game and he started home. Outside, it was icy cold and quiet as the grave. As he came around a turn in the road, he was surprised to see a woman walking ahead of him. She was carrying a basket covered with a white cloth. When he caught up to her, he looked to see who it was, but she was so bundled up against the cold, it was hard to see her face. "Good evening," Sam said. "What brings you out so late?" But she didn't answer. Then he said, "May I carry your basket?" She handed it to him. From under the cloth, a small voice said, "That's very nice of you." And that was followed by wild laughter. Sam was so startled that he dropped the basket and out rolled a woman's head. He looked at the head and he stared at the woman. "It's her head!" He cried, and he started to run, and the woman and her head began to chase him. Soon the head caught up to him. It bounded into the air and sunk its teeth into his left leg. Sam screamed with pain and ran faster, but the woman and her head stayed right behind. Soon the head leaped into the air again and bit his other leg. Then they were gone.
Oh, this. Alright. The one I found right here, it's looks a bit British from how it's typed on here. So it goes, Mommy has the habit of going out every Saturday night, so Daddy and I always go get ice cream after dinner.
Daddy!
Yeah, just the two of us around dinner time. I go to the kitchen to see what Daddy is cooking, but he's not there. I saw a note on the counter that said Mummy and Uncle James were going somewhere together. I'm not sure, I don't read that well. I found Daddy in... in the car bedroom.
Yeah, in the car bedroom.
I shut the I shut the door behind me like I'm supposed to. Daddy is in the front seat. The car engine's already turned on. It seems like we won't be having dinner tonight, only ice cream. I get in the back seat behind him since I'm not a big boy yet. Daddy didn't answer when I say hello to him. Maybe he didn't hear me over how loud the car is. I think I'll take a nap on the way to ice cream shop. I'm feeling kinda sleepy. So that's the end of that story. That gives you kind of a hint what
Wait, he left him in the car to die.
yeah. Or like
That's messed up.
him and the father both you know, gas windows.
Gross.
Because I think mommy is cheating with Uncle James.
Still, though.
And one of the comments is totally British. It says, "Bloody hell, that's so sad but very relevant, I feel."
All right.
Oh, and the comments actually explain what actually happened in that little story. The father was already in the car, and the child just got in the car too and closed the door.
Oh, the dad would have been already dead then.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another one.
Alright.
A young woman in town married a man from another part of the country. He was a nice fellow and they got along pretty well together. There was only one problem. Every night, he'd go swimming in the river. Sometimes he would be gone all night long, and she would complain about how lonely she was. This couple had 2 young sons. As soon as the boys could walk, their father began to teach them how to swim. And when they got to be old enough, he took them swimming in the river at night. Often, they would stay there all night long, and the young woman would stay home all by herself. After a while, she began to act in a strange way. At least, that is what the neighbors said. She told them that her husband was turning into an alligator, and that he was trying to turn the boys into alligators. Everybody told her there was nothing wrong with a man taking his son swimming. That was a natural thing to do. And when it came to alligators, there just weren't any nearby. Everybody knew that. Early one morning, the young woman came running into town from the direction of the river. She was soaking wet, said a big alligator and 2 little alligators had pulled her in and had tried to get her to eat a raw fish. They were her husband and her son, she said, and they wanted her to live with them, but she had gotten away. Her doctor decided that she had lost her mind and put her in the hospital for a while. After that, nobody saw her husband and boys again. They just disappeared. But now and then a fisherman would tell about seeing alligators in the river at night. Usually it was one big alligator and 2 small ones. But people said they were just making it up. Everybody knows there aren't any alligators around here.
Oh. Ooh. No one believes her of people just wearing 2 gators and know your children are half wear gators. Oh, alright. I see another short story too here. Very short.
Okay, okay.
This literally reminds me of my own personal experience because I had the same situation. So,
Ooh.
it says, a daughter was in her room, busy with homework. When she heard her mother call her name, dinner was ready. She jumped onto her feet and began making her way downstairs, when suddenly a pair of hands grabbed her and pulled her into the laundry room beside the staircase. She panicked before realizing it was her mother, unusually weeping with bloodshot eyes. Don't go there, honey. I heard it too. That's it.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And so it's like, when you hear your parents say, like, dinner's ready from the kitchen, you would usually come down. But she's like, I'm right here by the stairs, and I heard it too.
Dude. Okay, I'll admit I've had some similar situations like that
I literally
where
had,
like I swear I thought like I heard my parents calling my name,
yeah,
and I go down there and they're not, like they're either not even there or they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah. That literally happened to me when I was like playing with my toy cars as a kid. I hear my mom like full and clearly say, "Come down, son. Dinner's ready." I was like, "Okay," and I went come down, and my mom was still cooking. I was like, "I'm here. Is the food ready?" And she's like, "I didn't call you down for dinner yet." Like
Dude.
it was a clear as day. Like I hear her from downstairs, from my bedroom.
Honestly though, to be honest, some of that seems like the multi-dimensional shit,
Yeah,
where like the like an alternate dimension, she was ready,
yeah,
and you heard it,
yeah.
like a slight crossover kind of thing. I don't know, maybe.
I know. If it's like that, then I probably had another one when I was sleeping one day. It is like after that's after like my father passed away. Literally one night, I was like, "Wait a minute, what's happening? Everything looks the same." And then out of nowhere, my dad returns from his job at 9 p.m. saying like, "Son, can you help me with the food I got for you? I got the I got the chicken fried rice and the egg rolls for you that you want for dinner that you called earlier, right?" I was like, "Dad, why are you here? He died." Like literally my mind was like, my dad died. Why is he coming back from his job getting food too?
Dude.
Like food from his own restaurant. like like it felt so real, and like even the sound of the garage door opening and everything, and even putting the food down on the floor, like the sounds was like so real. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, dude, dead ass. Like there has to be like multiple dimension explanation to that.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, like there's so many times where like stuff just doesn't, like it's real. It feels and sounds so real.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's almost like when you get like a elastic band snapped on you,
Yeah.
where it just like it quickly happens and then it's just gone.
Yep. Even I told my mom about that. She's like, "That's very weird." Too. Even my sisters, when I told them, they're like,
Okay,
"That's
wait, and like
weird."
how long after he died did this happen?
A year.
Dude,
It was like almost near his birthday too when it happened.
that is so wild.
Yeah.
And if we use the multiple dimension theory with this, that would indicate that whatever killed him didn't kill him in that dimension.
And it was, and literally, I know what killed him, and it's actually we already passed the pandemic.
What?
The pandemic got to my dad.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe you could take some solace knowing that in another dimension he lived.
Yeah. Knowing that our former president was not being like oblivious about what happened with COVID. Probably in that universe.
Or maybe in that dimension we had a different president.
we had a Hillary.
Like, think about it though. Cause I can say personally, like I felt like the universe really made like a weird shift around that time.
Yeah. But it did say like, was it from like kids shows too? Like they say, like every universe, there's always one decision change, and another universe sprouts saying it. If you didn't do this, and if you did do this,
Right. I mean, did you see the Loki show?
yeah,
So there's that.
yeah,
So maybe your dad is a variant somewhere.
yeah, still alive, back in his young, youthful, muscleized age.
And just somehow your dimensions just kind of crossed over a little bit.
Yeah, because like everything was the same. Like I had my fish tanks already there. My nephew and niece were there. My other nephew was already born and all that. I was like, what is happening? Like I was at the hospital, like, and I was the one that carried you to your grave. Like I was the pallbearer too.
Yeah.
So I was like very shocked.
Oh my god. So I was scrolling and my boyfriend found this freaking video that had all these like bizarre titled movies where they like mixed up like known titles with either like actors or objects or other weird stuff, and it's, oh my god.
Well, like Fast
I'm
and
gonna,
Furious, Dwayne the Rock Johnson or something like that.
like, One Tree Jonah Hill.
Oh jeez.
I'm actually gonna copy the link and put it in the memes because, like, straight up, he was playing this for me, and I was like utterly confused.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I also have another short story, and this one's just a two-line sentence, and it's still creepy when I just read it over.
Okay.
It says, I opened the door to see a policeman who informs me that my husband has died in a car crash. I turned my head to see my husband sitting at the table eating the dinner I just served, grinning at me.
Ah, the grin thing fucked me up.
Yeah, I was like, oh god. It's like, my husband died. Who's at my table then?
Yeah.
I like I love reading the comments. There's like, husband came back to life for a taco. And others like, unknown identical twin.
Okay, so he has like coffin fully loaded, home cook lost in the sauce, Treba, Weeba, Reba. Actually,
Oh my god.
gravy for vendetta.
Home cook lost in the sauce. Oh, that's. I can't imagine that. The kid from Home Alone, like, in his age, being yelled at by Gordon Ramsay. Like, not enough chocolate!
James Corden's Kitchen Nightmares. Bam Santa.
Oh god. I see the guy. I see the um. Was it that name? It has like the Milady guys all over it.
P.S. I love you. G.P.S. I love you. And click.
The Sisterhood of the Traveling Private Jets. They laugh, you cry, the earth will die. Jeez. With Kylie Jenner and Taylor Swift. Bam, Santa. Scrub Daddy. Mark Zuckerberg sending private messages.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
got me, dude.
It's just him with his weird faces. P.S. I love Stu. P.S. GPS I love you. Seth Rogen click. Oh my god.
This is a comic of pirates on a ship. There's a mermaid singing, and they're like, the siren, she sings a beautiful song. And the pirate's like, I tried Shazamming it, and it doesn't seem to recognize it. And they yell out, hey, what's that song? I think it's a cover. She goes, it's an original, actually. It's a free download on my SoundCloud. Oh, sweet. Just search Metal Mermaid. You've got yourself a new follower.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm still coughing, but my
Yeah,
voice isn't as cracky as it was.
yeah. Oh god, there's another one I see. Here.
Do it.
It's been 315 days since the outbreak. 187 days since I realized I might be the only survivor. And 3 days since the two of us found each other in the wreckage of the world. It made me feel like everything was going to be okay again. After so long alone, I almost forgot that the first sign of infection is hallucinating imaginary people.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. That's like that ghost story, like, there's one person left in the world and a door in his house. The door to knock at his front door. He opens the door, there is nothing there. He closes the door. A moment later, the door knocks once more. He opens it in a rush. Still no one there. He realized it was just the wind. There was no person there. Something like that. Yeah. Literally Last Man on Earth kind of vibes.
Uh,
Let's see.
I just had like one of those weird, like shuddery muscle twitches under my arm.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think it's just because me sitting with my computer.
yeah. Alright, here's another one. In
Okay.
2026, the Messiah descended on Earth. She performed miracles and cured the sick. There was no doubt about her authority. Everyone believed her. Everyone revered her. Following this historical moment known as the Age of Peace, everything suddenly changed. She warned us that there were only a few spots left in heaven for the dead. That was natural. Nobody had gone to hell during this age. People started to go hysterical. to go hysteric. Everyone wanted a place in heaven. That's when the mass self-killing started. The Messiah had assured us that taking your own life is not a sin if you die a devout man. It was literally a race to end your life before everyone else. She was left on her own as humanity perished at their own hands. Grinning, she returned home to her throne of fire and flames and greeted her people with a nod of her demonic horns. That's it.
What?
Yeah. It's more like a blah, but it's like, wow. That sounds like a more throw-uppy of a manga of like, she's the heroine, she's a saint. No, she's actually the devil queen. You're now her minions. That was more blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also kind of gave like a poor representation of like, oh yeah, the devil's gonna come in and everything's gonna seem really wonderful, and then it's gonna be wrong. And it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I know someone that's like deeply Christian wrote that.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, this one's a short one. Growing up with cats and dogs, I grew accustomed to being awakened by the sound of scratching at my door. Now that I live alone, the sound is much more disturbing. That's literally it. It's too short.
What?
Yeah, scratching
I
the
don't know.
Now that I live alone, the sound is much more disturbing.
Like, literally, no.
I'm
If
so
it seemed normal at first, why would it not seem normal now?
yeah. And in one of the comments made like a funny joke saying, "Nah, man, that's just the neighborhood furries on their nightly meeting." It's like, wow.
All right, I got one more in me.
All right, go ahead.
Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street, and they were talking about how scary it was. Don't ever stand on a grave after dark, one of the boys said. The person inside will grab you. He'll pull you under. That's not true, said one of the girls. It's just a superstition. I'll give you $1 if you stand on a grave, said the boy. A grave doesn't scare me, said the girl. I'll do it right now. The boy handed her his knife. Stick this knife in one of the graves, he said. Them won't know you were there. The graveyard was filled with shadows and was as quiet as death. There's nothing to be scared of, the girl told herself, but she was scared anyway. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then quickly she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil and started to leave. But she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. Something has got me, she screamed, and she fell to the ground. When she didn't come back, the others went to look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing it, she had plunged the knife through her skirt and had pinned it to the ground. It was only the knife that held her, and she had died of fright.
Oof. You never disturb the
Am I
dead.
actually spooking you?
Well, I'm from a family that knows or like in depth is in paranormal stuff. Like we know if it's like a ghost or something.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I have to mentally switch gears because I know that especially in Asian cultures and stuff, there's some really trippy shit with beliefs about afterlife, ghosts, demons, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like in my
And
religion, yeah, like literally, I'm trying to recap. My religion, after someone dies, they don't know they're dead for 100 days. So within that 100 days,
what?
you cannot touch, move their stuff, like their clothing in the closets or in the dressers and stuff. You leave it there for 100 days, or they will curse you and haunt the rest of the family members.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then you gotta do a promise
So
to.
after your dad died, his stuff just laid around for 100 days.
Yep, we didn't touch his clothing until that day was over.
Wow.
Yeah,
See, I didn't know that.
because then by the time like 10 days after my dad funeral and when we buried him, uh, literally in the garage when I was about to go to work one day, I hear the tools that he always often used to fix his truck and stuff in the cars. I can hear it clanging from the garage before I even open the
What?
door. Yeah.
Shit.
So I opened the door like, Dad, stop playing with the tools, and it stopped clanging. even
Oh man, that's spooky.
even my sister, one time she heard the kitchen, the pots and pans moving like it was cooking, and when she went down to the kitchen, there was no pot and pans out in the open. Like she heard the clanging
Uh,
like it was cooking. Like my dad tends to cook soups and stuff.
shit, dude.
Yeah. And And then the other thing is you have promised the dead. Like for my dad, we had to visit him at least once every month of the year. Every month, one visit to my father, or he will haunt us in our dreams, kind of thing, like a contract.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I even told my uncles, like my dad's brothers, like go visit him, because I know he's gonna haunt you in your dreams for a long time because you don't visit him. one of them, one of my uncles, like, yeah, I need to now. It's like, yeah, my dad haunted him.
Shit.
He's like, come visit me. And even the first few times when I went to visit my dad's grave, my dad loves Coke. Like we had a Coke bottle. We put it on top of his like footstone. That bottle kept falling over with the cap on. Like it kept falling over, and I told my mom like, Dad needs his Coke, Coca-Cola. He needs it now because he keeps spilling it on his grave.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because there was like no winner at all. It's just the bottle kept flopping over every time we stack it up and try to tell him we're here to visit him.
That's so wild.
Yeah. But yeah, even one funny story is happened with my mom when we got the repairman for the AC unit. We have like the little like tube tunnel that goes to the outside. You know, that little thing or something like that. The,
Uh-huh.
the guy was like putting in some new piping and stuff because our old piping was old and we had to take it out. He had like the glue and stuff, and like he had to blow it to dry it up a bit faster so it could stick. I don't know where the guy
Uh-huh.
said. The guy said like, I hear someone like also blowing after me. Like I hear like after me. He's like, does something happen in his house? My mom told him like, it's probably not. He's probably my late husband. He passed away last month, like a few months ago, kind of thing.
It sounds like he was a handyman and he was probably trying to help.
He was. my,
Oh my
my dad,
gosh.
literally, my dad was trying to do his best with like mechanic work and like with the car and the house and everything.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. Like even after death, after a few days, they will try to do the same activities they love to do. And the best one I ever saw, I remember is waking up on Sunday mornings, literally after like a month after my dad passed away. My dad always cleans the house on Sunday, so I would hear the vacuum, and then I would hear my TV karaoke playing in the morning loud. And I woke up thinking I heard the karaoke playing.
Your dad would play the karaoke while he was cleaning?
Yeah, like I could hear it from my room, like from downstairs, and then literally when I hear the karaoke playing, when I opened my door, it was like silenced, but in my room, like you could hear like the music like murmuring in the background, like I know it's karaoke.
Dude.
Yeah, I was freaked out. It's like, okay, I think Dad's just telling me I need to clean the house.
That is so spooky.
Yeah. All right, I got two little short stories. They're like very dark kind of things.
Okay, because I have to, like, I literally have to get into the laundry because I have like 6 baskets to put away.
Alright, because this is going to be the last two stories before I end my stream too. Okay, so
KK.
this one's short. It says, I aimed my gun at the sick bastard who murdered my wife. He cried so desperately, scared for what to come. If only he had talked to me and tried to reason, maybe I could have spared him. But that was impossible after all. He was just born a few minutes ago.
Aw, dude.
I know, I was like, what? I was shocked, like, what? And then the last one for the stream is, Mummy always told me there's a rule I cannot absolutely break. Don't go in the basement. That place is a total mystery to me. The only thing I know is that there's often a sound coming from there, like a weeping puppy. And I really wanted to see the puppy. So one day, I opened the basement door, tiptoed downstairs. There was no puppy. And then Mommy yanked me out of the room and yelled at me like never before. It made me so sad I started crying. She told me never to go in the basement again, and then gave me a cookie. In the end, I never asked her why that boy in the basement was making noises like a puppy, or why he has no hands or feet.
That's so messed up.
I know. That's so messed up. I was like, I was screaming through him. I was like, what?
That one had me thinking about like there one of the recent Black Mirror episodes
Yeah.
where like there was a boy whose I think brother or something or dad died. So I don't remember exactly how it all connected, but there was a serial killer and he and his girlfriend decided to like make a documentary about it, and then they find out who actually the serial killer was,
Oh.
and it was not good.
Oh. Oh my god, there's a phrase on here that I tend to do to my other friends to scare them so much.
What is
Don't look behind you. It doesn't like to be seen.
it?
And then, like, they would literally check behind their chairs, too.
That's funny.
Yeah. Alright, that's the end of the stream. For, like, live spooky night there. Little spooky readings.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Alright, see ya, Nutty. Have fun putting
See
laundry
ya.
away.
Ugh.
Get your son to help you do it.
No, he's having a sleepover at his aunt's house.
Oh. How about Mr. Naughty? Or is he still too sick to do anything?
He's at work.
Oh. 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 Okay. Oh, that's awkward. Six baskets of clothing. Oof.
Well, and it's because we went like 2 weeks without doing the laundry. And there's a lot of bedding from my son's room.
Oh yeah. My family advised every 2 weeks change all your beddings where you slept because there's gonna be a lot of dead skin and hair and stuff. They're gonna start like growing zits on
Yes.
your back and your hair and all that.
I straight up like had to teach Mr. Naughty about that because he was like, I never washed my bedding. Why would you do that? And I'm like, because it's gross.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, for me, I had to been doing that because beginning of college, I started getting alopecia, which was awful. It's recovering now, but
Yeah,
yeah, I was
I
like,
noticed
fucking
that
hell.
like my skin on my face will break out more when I haven't washed my bedding in a while.
Yeah,
So,
mine's like on the back of my head, like where my hair is. Like you can feel the bumps, but it's
mm-hmm.
mostly gone now. Thank God, because I was like so angry every time I just see the back of my head. Like I'm turning bald. I'm too young to go bald. All right, see you, Naughty.
See ya.
Right, and that's the end of our stream, guys. I hope you like our little spooky session there. After I got bored with Powerwash Simulator. Alright, Monday stream, we'll see what game we're gonna play. It might be a new game that I never played before, or an old game that I never streamed for you guys. We have to tune in to see, alright? And remember, maybe, but not the forest. We need to make a plan to get the OP weapons in the caves, because the mutant ones are coming out more often. I know. I'm working too. I was thinking about like, Minecraft Dungeons, that new Minecraft game that just came out that's like chibi, because like Minecraft has a lore now, like how the world came to be. Yeah, I could restart my Slime Rancher stuff or Stardew Valley stuff. But yeah, we'll see for tomorrow night. Alright? Hope you guys have a nice night. Bye! Don't look behind you, alright? They don't like you watching them. They can sense you. Try and look back.